Welcome to Bell Matters. I'm Blanche Marie, and today's episode is handbell trees. A handbell tree is simply a string of bells that the handles have been interlocked so that the performer can play them on a row with mallets. They can be strung for a processional, where they're hung on a pole and the person walks, or the person can simply hold them like I've held them here and walk in the processional. They also can be hung on a bell tree stand. This is a Perry bell tree stand. It comes with two arms and usually has wheels on the bottom, which makes it much easier to use to get it from one place to another. With the two arms, you can have one octave of handbells on this side and one octave of handbells on this side. You can also hang them on a portable bell stand. This one is called the A+ bell stand, and it comes in its own little carrying case, which then acts as the base for the bell tree. You simply connect that one goes in the bottom, and so then you connect the individual post, and then there is a hole that is in the case so that when you set it down, you put the stand in the hole, the pole in the hole, and there you have your bell tree. And that way you can have your naturals, and then you can have a separate one of a separate octave, or if you want to use the flats and sharps, you can put it on the second one like that. So this is the portable bell tree stand. There's some other pieces of equipment that are important. Of course, you need your mallets. You can use any mallets, but you need some mallets that will work for the various sizes so that you're not picking up and throwing mallets throughout the performance. These are actually designed as handbell tree mallets because they're a little shorter in length than a regular mallet, which makes it a little easier to control. You don't have that extra length and you're not further away from the bells. There's also other things you can purchase to help. When the handbell tree is hanging on the Perry stand, sometimes the hand guards are not enough to keep the handle off of the bell, and so you can purchase these little dividers that you slip on there, and then that way it's not going to slide down. Let's see if I can get this so you can see it. This handbell guard keeps the handle from sliding down onto the bell. Without that on the hand guard, see how sometimes it could just slide it down and you're not going to get that nice bell sound. Also, you have for the bigger bells, you can actually this is what I use. This is a tube, I like a swim tube, but it's gray. I got it from Home Depot. It's insulation, and I just sliced it into little pieces so that with the bigger bells, if it's still hanging down a little bit, I can just put this in there and keep it braced. And so I can just cut it to the size that I want. I bought this tube several years ago and I've used it quite a while. I don't need it that much. And now that I use my portable tree stand, I really don't need it at all because this piece of wood here that goes up the middle keeps the bells from having to hit each other. And so I'm not worried about it at all. It also keeps the bells from swinging onto each other. Sometimes that is an issue here in the Perry tree stand. When you're playing, the bells start to swing. And so it depends on how hard you're hitting and how fast you're going. But on this one, the bells don't swing at all, and so it's a little easier. And with that, I bring up one very, 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 very important piece of equipment is your ear protectors. When you are playing handbells, they can be very loud. And when you're playing the bell tree, the bells don't leave your face. Like if you're just doing a handbell stroke, you're actually striking the bell out here. The bell tree is right here in your face. The bells don't go anywhere. The sound waves just stay here. And so especially when you're practicing, you need to use ear protection. We don't want to go deaf. We enjoy music. If we're deaf, we can't enjoy our music. So use your ear protection. Depending on the performance venue, you may or may not have to use the earplugs, but especially in a small room when you're practicing, use the earplugs. So the next question is, how do you set up the bells? Let me take apart this one right here, because all you're really doing is inserting the handles into each other. So you take your lowest bell, the next higher one, you put through the handle, and you just keep going back up. Up, 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 up. And then you've got them all in a row. If you were doing just one handbell tree as a processional, you don't want to carry all the handbells, that's fine. Just string what you need. But if you start getting very involved with doing solos for bell trees and lots of different things, you might want to start putting them in keyboard order, starting from the lowest, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I would not string more than one octave on a string just because of the weight of the bells. But again, with the pole here, it is helping support the weight. We do have a a Velcro tie at the top that is holding onto that upper bell. But really, the tension from the handles is holding the bells in place. So going up the scale, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. C to C. I have the lower octave over here. I'm going to put these on because it does get loud. If you've got just your one, like 3 octave set of bells, and you're starting with C6 here, C6 to C7, you're probably going to go C5 to B5 here because you don't have 2 C6s in your set. But the C6 to C7 is typically your most commonly used strand of handbells on the bell tree. You can use larger bells as well. It's not as common, and you cannot even get a whole octave on one strand. That would just be too much weight on the handles of the bell, so you would want to split that up. But it's possible. It just depends on what you're needing. One of the advantages of the Perry bell tree stand is that it is movable. It doesn't have to be right there at the table. So if you're wanting to spotlight the bell tree out in front of the group, you can do that. One of the advantages of the portable one is that it is right here at the table, and so you don't have to have extra space needed for it. There's lots of different advantages to both. It just depends on what your needs are for your performance. There are many resources available for using bell trees with your handbell choirs. You can download a resource guide from the Handbell Musicians of America website. It was a guide written by Barb Brocker. Bell trees were first started back in probably the 1980s with Louise Fryer here in Florida, and people have really taken to them. It's a lot of fun to play. It gives you a lot of control over the bells. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can do processionals, you can do solos. One thing we have discovered, if you're doing a standard keyboard setup where it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, to put the flats and sharps behind them is typical with one switch, so that you're going C sharp on the bottom, and then go to F sharp over here, puts it right behind the F, and then put your E flat, which puts it on the same side as the E. So that is the only switch in your flats and sharps. You're going to go C sharp, F sharp, D sharp, G sharp, A sharp. And that way it puts it behind the keys that are, the bells that are most commonly is alternating with. That information is also in the resources. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, ask me. I'd be glad to help you. I love doing bell trees. I love doing handbells. And this is just a wonderful addition to the music we can make with our bell trees. Happy ringing.